The highest performers in the world are operating from an almost secret state of mind that doesn't seem to be available to the average person, and they work their entire life to shift into this state of mind, and then suddenly everything changes. From athletes to entrepreneurs, it doesn't matter what field they're in, the shift is the same, and I think I've uncovered what it is. So from my observation, generally people are operating in two states of mind. They're either on autopilot or they're awakened, and we'll break down what this means. Autopilot is the most common state of mind and consciousness. It's where everything is decided for you by your patterns, by something external. It's almost like a trance-like state. It's where your decisions are outsourced to something outside of yourself. And when you're next in public, you can actually observe this in action, whether it's on the train or whether it's at work with colleagues. Most people are running on autopilot. And essentially what that means is the grooves in their mind are so familiar that it's very hard to break. Being on autopilot means you're using what is called first attention. And that simply means your habitual reactive mind that's seeing reality through your own experiences and previous conditioning. It means every future decision that you make is already determined by your patterns and your mental loops. And what that means is you're stuck. It means letting your life be designed for you rather than taking the reins and designing it yourself. And by the way, this is something that we all fall into. But the difference is, while most people live in those states, the high performers and the top 1% understand that another, more profound state exists. So if you're watching this, I'm assuming you're probably quite aware already of your negative mental loops, of your procrastination, of your self-sabotage. You're aware that it's there, and sometimes you're able to slip out of it, but not consistently. So let me share with you exactly what the top performers do to consistently get into what is called second attention. And you've probably already felt this at times, the times where you've been in flow state, the times where you've been completely aware of the things that are holding you back. And this is something that high performers are attuned to, and it's the reason behind their transformation. So second attention is literally a state of pure awareness where you become the observer of your mind and not the victim of it. First attention keeps you trapped in loops, thinking that I am my body, I am my feelings, I am my problems. Whereas second attention reveals that everything is coming through you. You are the awareness behind the curtain. You might be thinking, how is this actually useful for me in my business or my life if I'm an entrepreneur or founder or an athlete? Well, the focus on the self, on the refinement of your spirit and the mastery of your mind, this is the underlying skill that subtly transforms your entire experience of reality. Through making this one shift from first to second attention, you realize that you are now in the driver's seat and not in the passenger seat. You reclaim your power to enact change rather than being a victim of circumstance. You shift from life happening to you to realizing that it's all co-creation. A friend of mine recently told me that the more you live in this awareness, the more you realize that this is all co-authorship. You're in constant dialogue with a higher power, and it's a conversation, not a sermon. So whilst most people live in first attention, chasing external validation, reacting to triggers, and living through conditioned patterns that they didn't even choose, elite performers practice shifting into second attention because it reveals that what we call problems are actually distortions that are created by first attention. And this is what separates high performers from average thinkers. It's how visionaries see what other people miss. It's how creators consistently tap into flow states. It's how you stop being pulled by distraction in 1,000 different ways and build the true skill of focus. Once you master it, then you stop playing the game on autopilot and you shift over into awakened. And like anything, this requires training. It's not realistic for you to consistently live in that state of mind. And I'm not expecting you after this video to snap into it and live in there forever. But there are some things that you can do, which I'll tell you how to do in just a moment. But think about this, the reason high performers are consistently in that state of mind is because their work demands them to be in that state of mind. The greatest athletes, musicians, entrepreneurs, the projects they are working on demand their full attention. And so the cost of living on autopilot is far greater than the pain of discipline. So in a way, the best way to train your second attention is to have a vehicle or vessel to pour into. For me personally, that's why I believe business is a great vehicle for self-improvement. But anyway, it begs the question, how can you shift into second attention today? What are the things that you can do? And what will your life look like when you do that? Elite performers in moments of stress are able to ask themselves, can I observe the thinker of these thoughts? Ultimately, it's about stepping outside of yourself and reclaiming yourself as the driver of the car and not the passenger being thrown around by it. Secondly, question your beliefs. Ask yourself, is this thing that is taking over my mind right now true, or is it something that I've just accepted to believe? Is it just a story or a narrative that has been projected onto me? Because most times you'll realize that it's not even yours. Thirdly, expand your awareness. Look around, look up. What can you smell? What can you see, you hear? What are the things that you would normally ignore in this moment that are present to you right now? The art of awareness and breaking the trance is the one single thing that will shift you back into an awakened state rather than being on autopilot. If you think about it, most of the people that are on autopilot, when you're walking and you're observing people or people are scrolling on reels, they're not actually there. They're not present in the moment. But the moment they snap out of it, they realize that their mind wasn't really there. Autopilot is completely unintentional, is completely unaware, whereas awakened is completely aware and completely intentional. It's the polar opposite. And the more you live in these states, the better your life is going to go for you. Why? Because you're paying attention. You have to realize that top performers don't try to control anything that is in the external. They just control what they know they have control over, which is their inner state. And they know that the outer mirrors their inner anyway. The more you activate this mind and this second attention, and the more you shift into second attention being your dominant mode of perception, you will experience synchronicity that defies logic. Life will flow in line with your deepest intentions without effort. That is because, like I said, awareness breaks the trance. Your unconscious mind is always trying to speak to you through patterns, through premonitions, through dreams. Reality, the universe is trying to speak to you through synchronicity, through coincidence. The question is, are you missing the calls? The longer you live in autopilot, the longer you stay in confusion. The more you intentionally break the trance and you shift into awakened mode, the more these dots seem to connect and you realize what you were missing was in front of you the entire time. So there is no higher leverage thing to do than learning to pay attention again, learning to notice. Most people will never discover this mode and they continue living their life on autopilot, wondering why their circumstances are never changing. But high performers realize that when they're in flow states, when they're consistently working and putting out good work, when life is flowing and they don't have to brute force their way through, when they're dialed in, when they're locked in, these are all different words for being in an awakened state of mind. And once you realize that holds the key to genuine transformation over a long time period, new levels will unlock for you that you otherwise thought weren't possible. I promise you, I've been on both sides of the spectrum, and I do everything I can to shift back into second intention and back into an awakened state every single day. In fact, I'm actually working on a software which, if it's done right, I think would actually change the way we look at these problems forever. But you'll hear about that on my newsletter if you're on it. So second attention is not only paying attention to the things that are outside of you, but also to the things that are going on inside of you, to your own patterns, to your own loops, to your own self-sabotage. It's allowing yourself and auditing your actions and auditing your thoughts. The more you do that, the more you become problem aware, and then the more space you create in your mind for the solutions to arrive. And that is the simple shift that I promise you, if you implement into your life, will change the trajectory of your life and your business, your health, and your relationships forever. So ask yourself, most of the day, are you on autopilot or are you in second attention? Are you awakened? Because in that lies the key to your future. Also, I just put a handbook together. It's a small guide called the Self Mastery Playbook, how the top 1% master flow, uncover their invisible mental loops, and design their and rewire their mind for peak performance. It's 10 chapters on everything I just talked about and more, and it's available in the description below, so get your copy and let me know what you think of it. Otherwise, subscribe to this channel for weekly uploads and subscribe to my main channel over where my show is, and I'll see you in the next one.